Shabbat Shalom. This week we read the Torah portion of Ki Tavo. The lion's share of the Torah portion is dedicated to what's known as the admonition, the Tochacha, a series of verses that somewhat or completely explain biblical theology. I'll set it up for you. If you're good, it will rain and good things will happen. If you're bad, the curses upon you will be ridiculous. It's difficult for us in a modern context to understand that theology, that way of a relationship with God. In reality, sometimes that whole relationship with God thing can be very difficult. How do we have a relationship with something we don't see? What does God want from us? What do we want from God? It's something that perplexes Jews, I think, throughout our history. And I also think that it's something that perplexes individual Jewish people throughout their course, throughout their lives, as they identify as Jewish people. But in this week's Torah portion, and in this week's Haftorah portion, there's a line in each that I think so speaks to fundamentally what it is that God wants from us and what it is that we want from God. First, what do we want from God? At the end of the second aliyah of this week's Torah portion, the Torah says, Hashkifa mim'on kodshecha uvarech et amcha Yisrael. God, look down from your heavenly abode and bless your nation Israel. In other words, what do we want from God? We just want to feel God's presence in this crazy world. That's all we want. This world that sometimes seems so insane and ungodly, we want to feel God's presence in this world. And what does God want from us? Well, the penultimate verse in the Haftorah says, Ve'amech kulam tzadikim le'olam yirshu haaretz. And God's nation will always be righteous people and will inherit the land. God wants for us to be righteous, and how do we be righteous? We know ultimately the greatest righteousness comes from the way we treat other people who are God's creations, created in God's image. So it's almost simple. We want to feel God's presence, and God wants us to do what is right. Seems easy, but we know sometimes the challenges of life don't make it so easy. But I do believe that this week's Torah portion and Haftorah portion tell us that that's the essence of our lives as Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.